Chatty house. We ballin', boy. We going up at the Chatty house. We talk about it all, bring the family out. Sub to the channel, hit the likes now. And we only going up when the lights down. Yeah, we just getting started. Ain't no party like a Chatty house party. We just getting started. Ain't no party like a Chatty house party.
What up, what up? You know what it is. You got the Chatty house in effect. No Dr. David tonight. He had to drive back from Stockton. He was going to do a Broncos chase just to get to the show, like OJ. Told him, don't do that, bro. Safety first. Got enough bad drivers in Sacramento.
Not just Sacramento.
Yeah, you're not lying about that. But as usual, we got Katrina's here. We got Drew Down is here. Got some stuff to talk about today. It's been a busy sports week, I think, with just everything going on. Katrina, I was watching, as bad as the game was, watching that Hornets game. And it's pretty bad, right? But the one thing I looked into it and I wanted to see what your thoughts were first was, you know, they kept talking about the patience of Charlotte, right?
Right.
The patience of going through the ups and downs, and even when, you know, there were rumors of them wanting to trade Ball, and will Miller ever stay healthy? Was he a bust? Right? And they stayed the course. Like, no matter what you hear, like the one thing I said, Melo said he never wanted to leave. I don't know how true the rumors really were that they were trying to ship him out. It didn't seem like it was going anywhere regardless. So when you see something like that and you hear those things, is that something you think in this current iteration of the Kings? I know they're probably at the bottom of what the bottom of the Charlotte was at one point.
Or just underneath that, like the level below that.
Yeah, pretty much, yeah. And you got a rookie coach, right? I mean,
Right.
I know Charlotte went through a couple coaches, but you've got a rookie coach. He's learning as much as the team is.
Mm-hmm.
Is there something to that, like staying the course, staying with that coaching staff, staying with a bunch of these players, obviously, other than the guys that have to go at this point,
Right.
the veterans, but as far as the younger players, right? Trying to keep as much of that together and just staying the course. And yeah, there's probably going to be a couple more bad years, right?
Mm-hmm.
But do we stay this course, or do we need to flip this all around? What do you think?
I think that's the direction that it's going in at this point, right? Like, echo. I think that's the direction that they're headed. I think that's the direction that they should go at this point. What other option do they have? I feel like they've tried everything. They had the players. They tried running it back. They traded some players. Nothing's worked. The guys, you know, the older guys on the squad can't play together, which I'm still stuck with that. You got all these all-star, you know, really talented guys, but they just don't play well together. So I think the young guys, the rookies, see what they do in the draft. I think that's where it's at right now. So patience is the key. And unfortunately, people are not patient. Fans are not patient. So,
and rightfully so on some instances, right? Because it's even with the Beam team, like it was 16 years before that.
yeah.
Then it was Beam team, and then it was right back where, not right away, but pretty much heading down the downside again after only 1 year. So that was just like a bump in the road, basically. That's all that Beam team was. Like, it's just history in the road. Like I said, you took a wrong turn somewhere. Now you're back on the highway of losing, and it's just what it is, right? But do you believe that with the coaching also? Like, I know that's the players part of it, but what about the coaching part of it?
Oh, man. That's tough. That's really tough. I think patience with that as well, unless they were willing to get someone that could steer the ship in the right direction. Whether that will happen, whether Scott can make, you know, the guys were talking about it today, whether Mike Malone would be willing to come back here. I don't know. I don't know if they'd be able to get someone. I don't know if a coach would want to come here. So I think patience again.
What do you think, Drew?
I think you just gotta pick a lane and see it out. I mean, and patience, like Katrina was saying, just you got to get good players, get talented players in here, and have an idea of how you want to build a roster, because that's kind of where they're at right now. Let's just get these names, DeRozan, Westbrook, Levine, and it's like, and obviously, some of these guys are at the end of their career, but it's like you just can't get named talented guys and think that no matter what, unless we're talking about the Wade, the Wades and LeBron that level. But if it's, you got to have chemistry, you got to have a system. So I feel like whatever they do, just make a plan and just stick to it and see it through. Because I know there's a lot of times, like, guys like Jamal Murray, when he got that 5-year extension, people are like, are you out of your mind? Like, they're not the favorite. But it's like, okay, well, Jamal Murray's he's a good player, and we're gonna keep this thing together, and these guys are gonna continue to grow with each other. And it's like, look where they're at. I mean, maybe they're not favorites, but they're definitely a contender.
Every year.
It's like try to build something, not just keep on swapping out. It's like do that full rehab. Don't do that landlord special. Do that, tear it down to the studs, or maybe if you have some good pieces or good good furniture, whatever, keep that but do it the right way. Don't try to just Mickey Mouse it. Like, make your plan and stick to it, and at least see it through. Even with the Beam team, I felt like they were there, but they didn't really like take that extra, and you could argue how close they were to the trades and everything, but still, it's like you got close and we didn't, we're not a champion, and they, blew it up, and look where they're at. I mean, at least if maybe they would have got a Siakam or whoever, and, no guarantee that they, could have done anything special, but at least, like, you're not just dipping your toe in, you're going to say, we're going to pay the taxes 1 year. So see it through.
And I'm with you on that. And I'll give you an example too. Like, I always got to go back to my Bulls, right? But like, I will tell you, the fact when they got Ball and they went and got Vucevic and they went and got Levine, like, it might not have worked out in the long run, but when I look back at it, I have no regrets with them doing it, because they went all in. Right. They went in, and at the time, before the Ball got hurt, like, they were a contender for the championship that year. Would that have happened the next year? I don't know. Maybe, maybe not. But the fact that they were willing to say, you know what, we're going to put all our chips in. We're going to ride with this team and see what happens. And with me, I was good with that. Obviously, they sold too late. They held on to that dream way too long. But the initialness of, hey, we're going to go for it at this particular moment, I was all in on that, whether it worked or not, because that's just showing my team, like, hey, man, like you said, like, they were in this position of getting, as far as in Sacramento, getting Siakam, who else. They wanted, every time it seemed like they wanted this perfect trade. Right. Everything had to be exactly how they wanted it. That's not how trades work. Right. Everybody has to sell their soul just a little bit to get what they want. And if you're not willing to do that, or if you're not willing to, at the time, give Siakam the max, is he worth the max? Maybe, maybe not. But you're in the position right now where that one player could be a game changer for you. Right. So he might not be a max everywhere, but he's going to be a max here if it works out right. You know what I'm saying? So it's, and look at your team, like with Curry, like, he was hurt those first couple of years. Could have been a bust. We don't know at that time. You stick out with your draft, see what you can do. They got him on a cheap contract at first, right? Well,
honestly though, like, it was cheap, but it wasn't like it was. I don't think it was super cheap for that time.
No, it wasn't. You're right.
It was like Ty Lawson, and I forget somebody else got like that same money. But at the same time, there was people who were saying don't pay him, and some people thought like, oh damn, if he balls out, then we got
he's going to outplay that contract.
Yeah, we got him. So
we had talked offline about this before, and I thought it was a good comparison. Like, I know Kerr's pedigree is a little bit different than
Christie.
Yeah, than Christie, but it still was a first-time coach. Like, he had never really had the reins like that of a team. Yeah. He was coming into a situation which is, to me, even worse than the Kings, where there was expectations already because of what Mark Jackson has set the foundation for. So it wasn't like he was walking into a 20-win team, right? It just was a team that couldn't get over that particular.
It might have been almost like a 50. It might have been a 50-win, or So they were very close to like a 50-win team the year that Jackson, got parted ways, whatever.
But it was a rookie coach nonetheless who had to go through growing pains. So like, what did you like? What are some of the things that you noticed at that time? What were your thoughts at the time of watching him coach? And obviously, having Steph and all that helps a little bit, but still, you're still the coach regardless, right? So like, how can you take that kind of experience and kind of compare it to like what Christie's going through as a first-time head coach?
Well, if you remember he wasn't supposed to be the coach.
Mm.
He had a wink, wink, nod, nod with Phil Jackson, New York Knicks, right? It wasn't official, but that was, and then that might have been, I think that was prior to Jackson. And from what I understand, like he had 1 year left on his deal. He had got to the playoffs twice and he wanted an extension, obviously, because nobody wants to go into that lame duck year. He wanted an extension, and apparently he wanted to be paid like he was, a championship coach. He definitely turned him around and had success, but he wanted to be. He thought that he should be paid, the top of the top. And Joe Lacob was probably like, I don't know. And there was a lot. I don't want to get into a whole segment. But there was a lot of issues behind the scenes. I know Curry and them loved him, but I'm a big Andrew Bogut guy, and Bogut did not vibe with Mark Jackson. Bogut's an Aussie, he's a straight shooter, you know what I mean? And he would just be like, yeah, go to the locker room and everyone's praying and they're praying. And it's like, this is a workplace at the same time. So for somebody who's not religious, like, Mark Jackson took Curry to his church and trying to get holy water to get there was a lot of stuff. Him and Jerry West didn't. So, there was not to say that Jackson didn't do a great job. It was just the other stuff, the soft skills, the politic type of stuff that, he didn't really have, or didn't, from what I understand, and it didn't work. So when Kerr came over, it was like when I heard he immediately flew to like Australia to meet with Bogut and be like, hey, I don't like the way coach is using you. I'm going to, or maybe not, I'm going to use you, utilize your passing ability, put you at the high post. We're going to run some offense through you. He convinced Iguodala to come off the bench for start Barnes, because he's like, hey, Barnes, he kind of identified the players, their strengths, and say, hey, Barnes isn't a guy who's going to come off the bench and have instant offense. Let's put him with the starters so he can get them wide open and threes and just play off the other guys. And Iguodala is my vet. He ain't going to like it, but he is a sacrifice for the team. You come off the bench, you can affect the game no matter who's on the court. So little stuff like that, and he just changed their offense completely. He brought in a whole motion offense and the whole, screening and all that and stuff like that. And that's where with Christie, I don't see that. I know he's like a rah-rah guy, and the roster is much different, and I totally get that. But I just don't, like, on offense, I don't know what is he, like cursing was like, Pat, and obviously Steph was a big part of that. But still, he immediately came in and said, Bogey, I want you running the action. Guys are running off screens, backdoor cuts. Not really a set offense, but an offensive philosophy, right? We're going to move, cut. We're going to shoot threes. We're going to stretch the floor. And with Christie, to me, it's kind of more of the Mark Jackson, where it's like defense. We're defense, and a player's guy, and the players maybe love him, but other than that, like on offense, because obviously, as much as we poke fun at Kenny, like offense is, you got to put the ball in the bucket. You know what I mean? And I don't know what. Other than, just being a guy that, players love and play hard for, like that's great. But, that's not going to win you every game. You got to have some kind of, where's the X's and O's coming from? And maybe I'm blind, maybe I'm misinformed, but I don't see where that is with him. So that's where I'm like.
So that's why, my only pushback, I don't disagree with anything you're saying as far as Christie but I will say this in defense of him. I think in a way you highlighted is Kerr came into a situation where he had guys that had, like, this was going to be his team no matter what. These were the starters. I mean, these were the guys. You already had the nucleus. You knew what Steph is, what Clay is, all that Bogut, right? We're now, you're giving Christie the keys to a Pinto. And like, he really, like, what can you run? Like, even if he did have, let's say in his bag, he has this great offensive plan, but he might not have the players to be able to run that. So now he's just doing what he can. That's
fair. And that's why I feel like, to me, he's more of a Mark Jackson for the Kings. where like he's he wants to play hard, and that does matter, because that's what Mark Jackson was. Because for years the Warriors were just a little fun team, put up 100, give up 120, and that whole change the culture a lot of times is lip service. But Mark Jackson really he talked that and he did that. He laid the foundation. He came in and that was his the defense and the attitude and the culture changed. But there was a point where they would stall out because that's all good, but at some point like you need someone to take you to the next level. So I don't know if Doug is Mark Jackson. I don't take that. I don't mean that as a slight, but maybe it's the guy for a few years to really build it. And when you get to that, like, all right, we were in the playoffs last year, and maybe feel like he's topped out. Do we need an experienced coach? Someone maybe a little bit more polished to come in here and really turn them into a perennial playoff contender. I don't know. I just think if you're the Kings, you got to like look at always look to get the best and smartest in your building. You know what I mean? And maybe that might not be fair to Doug, but if there's someone out there like a Malone or whatever, that's like, and who knows if it'll work out. But I think he'd be kind of crazy, other than like this, like nostalgia or whatever, rose-colored glasses. Be like, no, I want Doug over Mike Malone. Maybe Doug will win more titles. I don't know, but I just feel like at this point that would be a guy who's like, all right, he's done it. He has a track record.
So I'll say my pushback on the Malone, it was like I heard the TC call and all that. I know people get excited hearing the name Malone. It's like, bro, y'all forget about like the rip he went on to the Kings when they fired, old boy. Like, this is the last organization I could see him going to.
Yeah.
And again, I get what you're saying. Like, as far as the quality of, he ain't coming to Sacramento.
Yeah.
I don't care what nobody says.
Yeah.
There's nothing in the world that's gonna make him come to Sacramento.
Yeah, I'm gonna argue.
I don't even think it, because I don't think him of all people, like, I don't think like it would be like highest paid coach in the league type thing. Yeah. Then maybe. But like if it's just like on level with what he was making, like I think he'll wait for a better opportunity somewhere than to go there.
That's fair. Yeah. And I mean, again, I just heard that name mentioned, not saying that there's any
I know.
That type of coach, that somebody with a proven track record comes along.
What do you think, Katrina?
I think my take on it, I think at this point it's kind of hard to truly judge Doug's coaching at this point. At least for me, from the outside looking in, with what he's been dealt, right? Like last season, he took over. He got the team to the play-in. Cool. This year, it's been injury after injury. The roster change, the players. It's just, it's hard for me to really tell how he's doing, like to rate his performance. I know other people disagree, and a lot of people have their opinion on that, and that's fine. I think again, patience and giving him a chance. From what I can tell, the team, the roster, they seem to like him as the coach, right? Because we heard a lot about Mike Brown. Like, yeah, maybe they were winning, but it sounded like there were a lot of rumblings and a lot of the guys were unhappy with Mike Brown for a lot of reasons. So from that, like, we really haven't heard any issues.
Yeah, I think I agree with you on that. And I think one of the biggest reasons, and this is all about the Kings organization, is like the contract is just full front and in the center of all this. Yeah. Because if he wasn't being paid so little, I think if he was at least on par, like, of course he's not going to get paid as the highest paid coach, but if he was either in the middle ground or somewhere even close to somewhere below it, then I think it'd be an easier conversation where we don't think that he necessarily is gone after this year. But because it's such a horrible contract in the grand scheme of coaching contracts, either they got to re-up it after this year. He can't go into next year, be the coach, and have that same contract, or they need to cut ties at the end of the season and just do whatever they're going to do. Mm-hmm. But whatever it is, like Drew said, pick a lane. Pick a lane, decide what you're going to do, and stick with that no matter what it is. So if it's Doug that you're riding with, then give him his 3-year contract with the 4th-year option, And so that way everybody involved knows this is the direction they're going. This is who's going to take us in that direction, and we're good. Or cut your ties, go find whoever the hell that you think is going to be the same thing. Give that dude the 3-year contract with the 4th-year option, whatever it is, and that's what you got to do, man. That's it. That's it. So, we'll see. Right now we're just looking at, as fans, as you know, from the outside looking in, like as you would say, Katrina, like everything now is about the draft.
Yeah.
At this point, like it doesn't matter what they like. I get the like it's both sides. I get the Russes of the world that want to see them win just because you're a fan. I get that too. I also get the other side of like not giving a damn and wanting them to lose as much as possible just to increase the odds. Although I always find that funny too, because the history has shown that doesn't necessarily mean squat.
Mm-hmm.
The Bulls got Derrick Rose not because they were the worst team, because they just looked. I think their chances of winning that year were like 4.2% or something crazy that was low, and they still got the first pick. Conspiracy, whatever.
Can I ask you guys a question?
Sure.
So about, I just thought of just something that just hit my mind right now. Thinking out loud. So you think maybe that the reason they gave that Doug that 2-year low contract, you think it was maybe kind of like, all right, the Kings front office kind of secretly knew like, hey, we're not going to be, contenders whatsoever this year. Let's give Doug this year as kind of like a full, like a trial run, or you know what I mean, or like an audition kind of per se, semantics. But hey, we're not going to be good this year. We don't want to commit to you maybe, but here, here's your chance to see what you got. And then if by their standards or whatever, if they're impressed, maybe like, okay, you know what, you won the job, or we're going to move on in a different direction.
For me, no. And the only reason I say that is like, all the moves that they did in the offseason point to them thinking they were going to at least be a play-in team. Right.
Well, yeah, I don't mean the worst in the
league. I know,
but
what you're talking about is like but you said bad, like that's not bad though.
Yeah, I mean, you're lower 2/3 of the league though, type of things. I mean,
not in the playoffs,
play in, but I mean, but regardless, like it just, I'm just thinking out loud.
I get it. No, I understand, and you could be 100% right. I think the moves that they made me think they delusionally thought that they had a lot more
mediocre. They could be mediocre.
Either mediocre, or if all things click, could even be. I don't believe this, but I think they believe that they could get as high as 6, 7.
Yeah.
Because they thought the talent alone, with the right nudge, could get them there.
Well, I guess regardless, right? Whether you thought they'd be, mid or bad, like was kind of still the same thing of like maybe they didn't have another coach lined up, and they said, hey, here's your audition, you know what I mean? And if it's good, they can renegotiate, and if it's bad, they just cut ties because it's it's basically a 1 year. That's well done. He's not lying.
No, I get it, and again, like I think it's one of those things like you could I could be 100% right, you could 100% be right. Like nobody knows but them, right? But yeah, what do you think, Katrina?
Man, I think I'm with you, Manny. I think let's pay him as little as possible and see if we can make it, see if we can get in the playoffs and the play-in. And I really don't know. That's kind of what I lean towards. But
because I think if Drew is right, that's a horrible organizational thought.
Yeah.
Like if you went to it like that, like
right,
then tank. If that's the fact, then just give away these pieces for like scraps or whatever that you can get, and then see what he does with the young guys at that point. Because either way, you're pretty much saying this is a audition probably either not just us, but for the league. And if you could show a little bit of something, right? Because up until this year, or was it last year? Like I remember everyone thinking JB Bickerstaff was just nothing.
Mm-hmm.
And then now all of a sudden, like he's considered a decent coach, last couple of years. So like, I don't know, like, if Doug, let's say Doug did do, even if they tanked and Doug did a decent job, and the Kings were still like, you're out of here because that was the original plan. Doug has now auditioned for other teams, and maybe he gets an assistant coach somewhere else with the opportunity to coach later on, right? And then let's look at it from the Doug side of that, Drew, is what you're saying. Is like, why would you sign that knowing that? Because And I'm always wondering about that part with Doug.
Yeah,
like,
just
why
because
is he
where
fighting,
else is he gonna get a chance to be in the head chair? You know what I'm saying?
bro?
So maybe for him, it's like, yeah, I mean, maybe it's like when at work, like, you know what I mean, you do the extra work, you didn't get the promotion yet. So you know what I'm saying, and then you're like, but you show that you can do it, and then like with the expectation that you and then then you know what I mean, it's a risk for yourself, obviously, but there's not a lot of big chairs. You know what I'm saying? Was it 29 chairs? So it's like, and again, this is just me just trying to think, why? Because why would Doug take the 2-year, the low 2-year deal?
Mm-hmm.
So it's just like, yeah, I'm just thinking of if maybe different scenarios on maybe why the contract could be that. Maybe the Kings, like Patricia said, they're just cheap as hell and try to win with the cheapest they can. That I could definitely see that. When you said that, I was like,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And he's hella loyal to Sacramento too. So
and it's like you're talking about a dysfunctional organization too. So like I hope somebody has a book somewhere at some like these are things like it's almost like that end of the movie where you want to know what happens afterwards because there's this like it's a car collision. You want to know how it happened, when it happened, what caused it to happen, what happened to the people afterwards. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, man, like it's one of those where I'd love to read a book on it at some point. Probably never will.
We'll do a reunion episode in 10, 15 years and look
we'll have
back.
Doug on.
See where it's at.
Doug will be so mad he'll be willing to come on and talk about it. We'll break the story. There you go. We'll break the story.
But I mean, I haven't heard anything really, right? It's from the organization.
No, they've been pretty quiet. Scott's just continued to say basically that Doug's his man for now, and he hasn't like committed one way or the other, which is usually.
Didn't he say that other coaches were like knocking down his door and calling him, trying to get the job? Remember?
From who, Doug?
That Scott was
Originally.
getting calls for the coaching position.
Yeah, okay.
I'm pretty sure it was the wrong address.
Yeah.
Wrong number.
Wrong number. Sorry.
New phone. Who dis?
Who dis?
Yeah, you must have been. He was off that Monday motivation or something. He was feeling. Yeah, he was.
Man.
Boy was feeling himself.
So
Pillars light.
Pillars. The pillars made out of aluminum. That's what those pillars are made out of. Drew.
What's happening?
Yo, talk about the Warriors a little bit.
I'm in cowboy mode, Manny. Come on, dude. Collars up, boys down, baby.
That was. Did they? I never looked after the freak injury, but like, did they ever come out and say what it was? I missed it totally with Moody. Yeah.
Yeah, torn patellar tendon.
Ooh.
Okay.
Yeah, he had that kneecap from Mr. D, that old dude where he just picks it up.
Yeah, swigs.
Yeah, I was like, I didn't see it live. I was watching the game kind of, but I did not want to see the replays. My boys, I don't know why some of these networks do that, where they'll just show a gruesome ass like over
and yeah.
Bro, what are we doing, man? Have some respect. He has a family, for Christ's sake. But bro, that injury is tough because Moody had just came back, and he had been playing pretty well in I think February, before he was off for a couple of weeks or whatever, and they were just bodies were dropping left and right. So it was like for him to, and they won, but I mean, with the rest of the season is almost meaningless, not just because of his injury, but it's just like you never want to see anybody get hurt. But Moody's one of those guys that just bring his lunch pail. You never heard a peep from him about his contract, and not to take a shot at Kuminga, but that's all you heard, right? Rather than Moody just. He just when his number was called and he was getting benched, getting pulled from games. A lot of fans were like, bro, like this like unfairly, but Moody, you never heard a peep from him, right? He just came in, played hard, 3-and-D, and just whatever the coaches asked him to play, he was in, and when he didn't, he was.
Love it.
We were good for a minute.
It was a great serious face too.
Yeah.
This was like ventriloquist face too.
I love it when he freezes and keeps talking. It's great.
Because like ventriloquist, yeah, great.
Anyways, yeah. So he's a good teammate, and it's like it's just another blow. I mean, not even for this year, but he might be out for the majority of next season too. So he's a guy that even at 13, I think he's making about 13 million. Like I think he's a very solid rotation player. I think he could be a starter for some teams. Like, but it's also his 13 million. Is one of the few contracts that actually has some value. So even if they wanted to try to package him and somebody else to go get a more seasoned veteran, like he's gonna be out for the year. So just I mean and it's like the old guys maybe you might could see it happening. Like Butler sucked, but it's not the most surprising thing in the world. A 37-year-old tears their ACL.
Right.
But Moody's 23, 24, and so it was a tough injury. I feel bad for the kid, and I mean they're playing right now. I'm not even really locked in right now. Just like.
Well, that's the thing I want to ask you. Like, it's a two-folded question. One, how does that shift how you? Because for a minute it was, look, man, let's just do what we do. Let's see if we can get in. Blah blah blah. Right now, do you still feel the same about the rest? Because for me, I'm gonna be honest. If I was a Warriors fan, I'd be like, I'm not usually like this, but with the way the luck is going, I was like, shut stuff down for the rest of the year, bro. Before something ugly happens, like just shut them down. Let them come back next year and let's call it a day.
Yeah, I'm definitely leaning towards that, and my only thing would be if Steph wants to play, and the training staff says, hey, like his knee is good, like he's not coming back early, his knee is fine, if so I don't know. I mean, sometimes you got to save the guy from themselves, but there's just too many pieces is missing for this team to. To even it was even like I said, that was my rose-colored glasses saying anything can happen, but it's just like at some point it's like everybody's down, man. So you just shut it down, see if you can get see what happens in the lottery, and maybe you make that pick, maybe use that as trade bait to land something else. So I think if Steph wants to play, I'm still gonna root for him regardless, but it's just. Yeah, it's like sometimes you gotta use your head, not your heart. You know what I mean? And like it's not gonna happen. Just drink the Jim Jones juice, man.
Oh, for sure.
Is that what you're drinking?
Like freezing a moment in time.
Yes. What was that?
Yeah.
Elaborate, Drew. Keep talking.
Yeah.
So what we were open your book to page 67, guys.
Katrina, I know that's not our team, but like when you saw, I'm sure you either saw it or heard about it, and like from an outside perspective, like if you were the Warriors, what would you do?
That's a tough one. I would probably sit Steph at this point. Like
I'd shut him regardless if he wanted to or not.
Yeah.
That's how I'm doing. That's not like you could just be mad. Like I get it, but at this point, like let's just shut it down. And I think also like I'll ask Drew when he gets back too. But I think like with the Butler injury, and I don't know what his timetable is of coming back. With the Moody injury, I feel like also like they had a direction, regardless of whether the direction was going to work or not. I feel like the Warriors had a direction. And I think both of those injuries kind of put a swerve into that. And now they have to think about these are players that I don't know what they're either one with Butler, what's his timetable of coming back and what's he going to be like in working his way back at 37 years old. With Moody, like Drew, like you said, if he's gone next year, you've got to replace it because you are already a thin team to begin with as far as depth. And you're probably not bringing back old boy.
I would say they're top heavy.
And Porzingis is probably not back. Unless it's a team-friendly contract.
It's not to flex. I was talking with JD and on the Does post game, and that's what I kind of that was my I was hey nobody else wanna they said people behind the keyboard, but they didn't put their face on them. But that was kind of my he asked me my overall takeaway, and I was like, it's just the fact that, like you were saying, alluding to it, it's just a piece that fit. You know, whether you think Moody is a starter or not, he's a guy who averaged 12 to 14 points, 4 or 5 boards, a couple assists maybe. He's gonna shoot a good. I think he's shooting 40% from three this year. So like and he's long. He's got a wingspan. He's only 6'5", 6'6", but he's got a long wingspan. He's got long arms. So even if he's athletic, but he's not he's not super like crazy fast. But he has those arms that allows him to to make up if he gets beat. And challenge shots out that way. So. It's just I don't know exactly how they replace him, but it's a guy that, like you said, when you don't have a whole lot of depth, you have your dudes that you count on, and so he was just a piece that I feel like was very interchangeable, whether he started,
Oh yes,
exactly.
Yes.
Okay.
Agree. You know what's not interchangeable? Your internet, sir. That's what's not interchangeable.
Yeah, I've been trying to get these jackasses at Xfinity to come to my house.
Damn them! I hate those guys, bro.
If only you knew someone.
Yeah, they're busy. They're busy influencing and shit. Apparently,
I have something. I have something that you can use. Actually, we'll talk offline.
No, I forgot about that. Damn it! All right. Anyways, pause. Hold on. We'll take that offline. But back to your point, if it's a guy that they're counting on and was a solid rotation piece that could fit next to anybody, play defense, shoot threes, doesn't need the ball in his hand, and just another guy that probably I would imagine for the majority of the year, at least with Butler. I mean, I feel like Butler, he'll be back, maybe like December, January, something like that. So I don't, but I mean, obviously he's older, he has to work his way back. But I don't know if Moody's going to be back like at all, next season. And so, not that. I mean, Kuminga's been up and down. I know he had that hot start, but he's came back down to earth a little bit. So I mean, people might think that trade was bad, and I think if you don't re-sign Porzingis, whether it's of injuries or not, like the trade's a failure no matter what kind of thing. You know what I mean? So I've liked some of what I see out of Porzingis, especially his ability to just be big as hell in the middle, and and cause defenses to attention and defenders to pay attention and double and just have give shooters space out on the perimeter. So I hope that they're able to work out, even if it's a 1-year deal. I think he's making 30. So if it's like maybe can we get it for like 1 and 15? It might sound crazy. Maybe that's high. People think it's low, but he hasn't played a lot. I still think he's a useful player. So they can do that, but it's still. I mean, after that, it's like Pods. I mean, he's up and down, right? But he's not a big guy. I like Melton. Melton's on a 1-year deal though. They'll guarantee.
I like Melton.
I think Melton's a solid little bridge player. I mean, I like Will Richard. Maybe Will Richard can step up. Maybe that's a guy right there because they're not going to be able to really go out and get a ton, spend a ton of money or anything like that. So I think, a guy like Will Richard, I'm looking at, he kind of has a similar size to Moody and does a lot of the same things for the team that Moody does. So maybe Will Richard can step into a bigger role next year. And then, I mean, other than that, I mean, they got Gee, but, Gee's more of like a power forward. Regardless, but it's still you need without Butler there, without and Moody's gone. You're gonna need some more production from guys, and I mean, I guess that maybe if they're able to get a nice rookie in the draft and somebody, but you don't know rookies a lot for winning teams, but maybe they find a guy who can be a.
Trying to lip sync for him.
Anyways, we're fucked. Go ahead.
Yeah.
No, I mean that's true, and I think though even with Porzingis, even if you cut half the money, like that's 15 million you can use on somebody else too. So like some of that money could be. So
they go over the cap, but you can.
They don't give a shit.
That's
fucking Laker, man.
Go ahead, sir. I won't argue with you. Go ahead.
Fuck it, go over the cap, man. Shit. Fuck it. It's Steph, man.
You can't do that, sir. I don't give a shit. All right, I respect that. I respect that. What the hell with the rules, dude? Do what I want.
Fuck the rules. Fuck them, girl. Fuck them.
Oh my god, elite argument. What do you mean they can't do that?
Like, what do you mean? Just do it.
No, but I mean they're over the cap. But I mean, they're over the cap, so it's like regardless, they'll have to be creative and I mean, maybe a mid-level or something like that, but yeah, it's looking bleak. No Memphis, baby.
Well, Joe, you brought up when we were talking again, when we were talking about things to talk about on the show. You brought up Kenny's power forward. Uh,
Yeah,
the dying breed of the power forward, and basically called them comparing them to the running backs in the NFL, right? Like basically just
yeah, but I think that he's too stuck. Kevin Durant plays a lot of power forward.
mm-hmm.
Kevin Durant played power forward for the Warriors a lot of times. Draymond played a lot of center. KD played a lot of power. I think it's just, if you have a guy if you have a guy who's 6'8" with a back to the basket game, they can't really stretch the floor. Of course, that power forward has been, been out the league, been a dying breed for a while. So I mean, if we're talking about that, yeah, but I think he's just too caught up on,
Position.
exact position and pigeonhole. I'm like, if you get a guy, who can, especially in today's NBA, it's more about matchups and who you're playing against. And if you look at a lot of the most recent championship teams, I mean, I think Chet Holmgren is a pretty damn good power forward. Is he the best player? No, but if you happen to draft a power forward this year, doesn't mean he has to be, he can still be a solid part of the team. I mean, Giannis is a power forward, right? Maybe he plays some small forward. He plays a lot of power forward. Bucks, Aaron Gordon for the Nuggets. I'd argue the Nuggets don't get over the hump, but they don't have Aaron Gordon playing power forward. And Aaron Gordon was a dog in Orlando, but he changed his role in Denver to do things that he plays a lot of defense. He shoots a three. He rebounds. Like he doesn't need the ball, but like don't tell me Aaron Gordon's not like and obviously they have Jokic and Murray but still it's like Gordon is a big. Aaron Gordon dropped I think a 50 piece on the Warriors earlier this year.
Mm-hmm.
They're still one now, but yeah, but I mean, it's like Kevin Durant, Drake, hate him or not, Draymond Green. Maybe he's wasn't the best player, but I mean, still it's like they still affect the game.
Yep.
I need a better Wi-Fi power guy forward, damn it.
My argument with Casey would be you can't go from one sentence and say it's a positionless league and then say, but the power forward, it's a positionless league. So if it's a positionless league, the power forward that name is just exactly that. It's just a name.
Right.
It's just a position to put somebody at. It doesn't mean that's what they really are.
Yeah.
So like you said, like Holmgren and any other in any previous generation is a center. He's 7 foot. He's a center. But does he play like one? No. Wemby, as much
he's
as
an alien. Wemby's he's a power. He basically plays power forward. He's an alien.
Yeah, exactly. So I mean, it's like again, it really is a positionless league at this point. Yes, there's some guys are point guards or whatever. Like Aaron Gordon is traditionally a small forward. Originally, when he was drafted, now he just does whatever wherever he's at. So again, like you said, so what'd you think about that, Katrina?
She wasn't listening. She threw this out. She said, "These
that conversation." No, I missed that conversation, so I don't have a take on that one.
No, it's all right. She said that. She said that.
And like I said, and to compare that, like you can't really compare that to a running back because a running back is exactly that. It's a running back. The guys you're talking about that are dying breeds are actual. The only ones that are making more are the ones that play receiver too. Like
a running back's not a dying breed. A running back is more the fact that it's like, hey, like these guys get hurt, and the production from the elite to the bottom. It's not in most cases it's not worth paying an average running back top money. Obviously, there's outliers, right? You got guys like C-Mac and Barkley and Derrick Henry in his prime and all that. But I'm just like, I think that I don't understand. Like, he's too caught up in that word power forward and like a guard. Like, what point guards are lead? I mean, you got Shea, but it's like, you need a good guard, but I don't think that like you can have just a good guard and not have like that interior, a strong defensive, guy whether it's a 3 to 4 to 5, like it just depends on who the player is, what I mean, rather than power forward. So,
like I said, like Killian Hayes is a hell of a point guard, but because he can't shoot a lick, which is actually a shooting guard, he can't get ticks. So I mean, yeah, the positions have changed, man. Like that's it. But I agree with you. He's getting too caught up in the word.
The roster fit too. You know what I mean? Because you can have maybe a guy, maybe your center shoots threes and your power forward is not the best shooter, but you know your center does, everybody else does, and you know, and he's in the mid range.
Yep.
Bad guys take over. Yeah. My
No,
Wi-Fi
he's in the
is
range.
free. I have a power forward Wi-Fi. This shit's getting phased out.
Yeah, it's getting phased out. You need a
Let
Wi-Fi
me
extender.
try some. Let me try some because I don't want to keep doing this. I'm sorry.
While he's doing that, Katrina, I didn't get to watch a lot of the women's tournament, but did you get a chance to watch a bunch of it?
I didn't get a chance to watch a bunch of it, but I've tried to stay tapped in and keep up with it. But it's been entertaining.
Yeah, and I say this all the time about, and one thing I think personally that the women, when it comes to the men's and women's tournaments, yeah, you'll get an upset here and there with the women, like because that just happens. But I think for the most part, the cream always rises to the top until you get to the Elite Eight.
Right.
Like the ones are blowing out whoever they're playing for. Like it's very rare you're going to see a one loser. And I know that happens with the men too, but I feel like even the men get pushed in certain games and then they win.
Right.
Whereas the women, they're just up by 50 the whole damn game.
Right.
And there's not much of a push, right?
Yeah.
So those usually go. You're not going to get as many upsets in the women's tournament as you do the men's. That just is what it is. Like they seem to be more steady of the course. So I think we'll see a little bit more this weekend, obviously, and going forward.
Yeah.
Where the real battles are happening. But I think right now, I think there was like maybe one. Like it was like, oh, it's an upset. The 7 beat the 10. I'm like, to me, that's not an upset. A 7 beat the 10. It's pretty much right there.
Yeah.
Up for grabs. So, but like on the men's side, I was writing down before we get to the players themselves, but like basically the way it looks right now is in the East, it's Duke against St. John's, 1 versus 5. UConn versus Michigan State, which is a 2 versus 3. In the South, which was the big upset of Iowa took out number 1 Florida. It's Iowa versus Nebraska, the newcomer. And then you have the Illini, which is a 3 versus Houston, which is a 2. In the West, Arizona is the 1 seed versus the 4, Arkansas. And then I thought this was the craziest, not craziest, but like, they just had an up and down year. Texas, which was a play-in team at the 11th seed, is playing number 2 Purdue. Midwest, you got number 2 Michigan versus number 4 Alabama, and then 6 Tennessee versus number 2 Iowa State. So you have 3 number 1s, 4 number 2s, 2 number 3s, 3 number 4s, and then 1 5, 1 6, 1 9, and 1 11. So I think for the most part, you're seeing most of the, cream of the crop rises to the top for the most part. And then you got a couple outliners like the 6 to 9s and 11, right?
Who was the biggest upset of the weekend?
I think Iowa beating Florida was huge. I mean, like that's a 9 versus a 1, and Florida has been cruising for the most part for the year. So I think that was just a bad matchup for them. Yeah. And then I think obviously, Texas was a play-in team. So even though I know Texas is in a big conference, it still was, they had to play their way into the tournament and they still got to the Sweet 16. So I think that's a big accomplishment. And I think some of the other ones just kind of went. I always think with the men's side, it is very much the way the brackets are set up, right? Some of those go easy. Some of the easier brackets, are just easier for some teams to get through. And then you have the brutal ones always. And then I think matchups is a big thing. Like if you got a team that's cruising but lacks height, and all of a sudden they run into 2 7-footers, like I don't care how good they are, that's going to give them trouble, and they're not used to seeing that. And it now becomes really it is about coaching at that point, right? So, and I think I forgot who upset them that I just named. Somebody in the chat could say it, but like the biggest upset was probably North Carolina. They were up like 16, 17 points at one point and ended up losing the game. And in doing so, Hubert Davis lost his job. So, that was basically nailing the coffin for him, was especially you could probably get away with that in a lower tier school, someplace like North Carolina, and that happens, it's pretty much writing on the wall. Like it's just they have high expectations. Do I think he should have lost his job? Probably not in my eyes. I think he is a good coach, but and especially being alumni. But I felt like as soon as they lost the game, I'm like, yeah, I don't think Duke could come back next year after that. Like it just, where you have the opposite of that was a coach that I thought was teetering over the last couple of years of maybe retiring because of NIL and a bunch of stuff was Izzo. And then he gets to the Sweet 16 here, and his press conference, if you didn't see it, he was so rejuvenated, so reinvigorated to coach. And he made it a point to say, and he didn't say names, but he made it a point to say basically like the guys that left for NIL money somewhere else, whatever, basically go F yourself. The guys that stuck with me, that knew what they had here at Michigan State, that's why I ride with you. And what you did for me this year, like you can tell those kids rejuvenated his love for the game and the love for college. And I think he'll, I don't know, obviously I don't know for sure, but I think that it mentally saved him from making maybe a bad mistake down the line. I think if they got eliminated early, he might have been, maybe it's time for me to hang it up. Maybe this game isn't. Like a lot of coaches been doing that lately, older coaches, like they don't want to deal with the NIL stuff. They don't want to deal with basically one and done players playing 6 years somewhere else or whatever, trying to convince players to stay with them. So I think, on that end of it, I think that was, that saved somebody like him. But like, let's talk about the players that we kind of were here to watch the most.
I want to say go Michigan. I got a good friend. He's a big Michigan fan. So go Blue.
Yeah, sure.
Oh, Blue.
Yeah, nobody cares about Michigan, bro. That's why you froze like that.
Right.
That's it. That's all I want to say.
That's it.
But the guys that we saw, Acuff, Peterson, the Bonds are like all the players we saw in the first weekend. Like, what stood out to you guys from the game, from what you saw or heard about if you weren't able to watch all the games?
Acuff on a rise.
Yeah, the spotlight is on Acuff for me. Yeah, no, it's been DeBonsta for me, but Acuff, like the fact that he's still in it and I think he would be a good fit for the Kings. So
I heard this writer, he named Tyler Glasscock was on the radio station, and he was talking about Acuff.
What was his name?
Tyler Glasscock.
Oof.
That's a real. I'm not. This ain't for last.
Okay.
Look him up, Tyler. Look. I don't know.
I believe you.
But I'm not.
I like the way you write your letters. But okay.
That's his name.
All right.
But yeah, he's a big Acuff guy. So yeah, they've got a lot of fans out there. So like his stock is rising, and he's not a power forward either. So
yeah,
that's true.
I'm just kidding.
So the two things that were crazy to me is one, I called and talked about it a little bit, but like I watched the end of the Kansas game where they won before they ended up bowing out the next game. Like watching Florida, I think it was a Florida Baptist or whatever, California Baptist kind of make a little run at the end, and the announcers even said it like, hey, Kansas needs to right this ship before it gets out of control. And they made a point to say Peterson needs to go get the ball and end this game or, do what he does. And he just kind of sat in the corner. It's like, I saw him trying to make a move to go get it at one point, and then the defender would step up a little bit. So he would slide back to that position again. And it was like there was no – and again, I don't take it – for me, I'm not taking it to the point of he's disinterested or that he doesn't care. I took it more as like, that's that Zach LaVine, like, I'm just going to go with the flow type thing that we've seen, been there, done that in Sacramento. Don't need to see that again. Like, and again, like the talent's there, just like it is for Zach. But if this is how high level situations are, then I've been there, seen this show before. Don't need to see that movie again.
I feel like Fox never shied away from that. I feel like for as much
I'm inclined to tell you that my girl is winning her bracket pool right now.
Oh, nice.
So
nice.
I see the look of shock in your face, Drew. She is winning. So
you have to know the name of it.
The name of what?
Full Metal Bracket.
Oh, the Full Metal Bracket is the name of
Nice.
the name. So kudos to that name. The kid that Acuff was playing against, though, if you watched that last game where Acuff was impressive, don't get me wrong, Acuff was doing his thing, but that point guard for what was it? What was it? High Point? Because I think that's who they were playing. That kid could hoop,
I miss some hoops this past.
bro. He was like,
I was a little busy. I'm not gonna front. I missed some hoops this past weekend.
he was like 5'6", 5. I think he was listed as 5'8", like 5'8". He was a blur. He reminded me of the kid from Illinois when it was the fighting. I forgot. I think it was D.
He's nuts.
D Brown. No, not D Brown.
Sorry.
Yeah, there you go. It was Rob Martin. Rob Martin was a hooper. He was single-handedly keeping them in that game, and he was putting moves on them, and he was like up and down that. He was faster than De'Aaron Fox, if you ask me, like the way he was moving, and that's fast. That's freaky fast. So, so that was impressive as far as like players that nobody. And I love that. Like you watch these players that you would have never seen otherwise, right? Because they play in these little schools or insignificant, and they become household names for that weekend. Or maybe that helps him get probably not NBA, but maybe get signed overseas because he's
exposure.
So yeah, he can still continue his career somewhere. Like that's awesome, man. Like I think that's what the tournament's all about. So, but I'm with you on the Acuff, Drew. Like I think his stock is rising. I don't know. I'm still stuck on Cameron Boozer. Like I don't know what he really is. Like I don't know if this is his ceiling, as to say, or if it is another level. Like
it's crazy because he's young, right? Isn't he only 19? Yeah, but I think a lot of times with the players, it's like you see they have so much athleticism and all that, but it's like they need to polish up the fine tunes, and you feel like if they have that ceiling, secure. Oh
no.
Your
love for Devin Carter is unsurpassed, dude. It is at the peak level of Scooter and Keegan Murray. Man, you guys are right there. You guys need to have.
I don't got the stats. Securing got a stat, Kelly. He always got a stat. So I'm. Hey,
there's a number somewhere on that.
Yeah, securing got the numbers always, but.
You're usually wrong, but I agree with you here.
Yeah, like when I watched him, I was like, he got that really nice, like all around game. He does a lot of everything, but it kind of reminds not a whole lot, but I don't know why he says that with mother. David Lee, who was like, he wasn't really most athletic, but like he could do a lot of things good, but like not like a franchise changer. But he was just he could pass the ball. He had that midi. He could rebound, he could do a lot of stuff. He wasn't the greatest defender. I'm not sure if, maybe Boozer seems like a little more athletic. But yeah, David Lee was like, he was a very solid pro and he was around for a long time, but just not like, I think he was a little bit limited and he was really good at a lot of things, but not like, his midi was nice, but a solid piece. But I don't know if a guy who's going to change your franchise, you know what I mean?
No, but he was at the end of his career, he was gonna have a couple all-star appearances. He was gonna be on the threshold of superstardom, but not necessarily.
Bro, I could show you. I have a Facebook post from like, you get the memories all the time, and half the time they're like, why the hell did I post this? I had one where I was my boy I grew up with play ball. We called him Bow Wow. He looked just like little Bow Wow. My boy Jeremy, I was like, okay, hey, so we got David Lee. We're next to Andres Biedrins, like I'll act like I was not geeked up to get traded, but that's where the Warriors were at that time. That was like, it was like that was the first kind of one of the first like I don't even call him a star or whatever, but the first kind of guys the Warriors were able to like kind of get. So I was excited to get him, but ironically enough, they excelled and got to the top when he got hurt and Kerr moved to the bench. Put in Draymond, who was more of a just, he's a lead on defense because we got enough shooters, a lead on defense and rebounding and all that. So, that maybe, and again, I'm just something that kind of reminded me of a guy like David Lee. So I'm not sure if that people, can pick that apart. That's fine. Just maybe it could
I
be
like David Lee.
He
always had a
David Lee
knack
was
of
a hell
knowing
of a player,
exactly
dude.
where the ball was going to be.
That little midi
He
he had,
rebound
bro,
his
left-handed little. Yeah, he was nice with that midi. He would grab boards, like super solid and
rebounds.
Yeah, and Cameron Boozer could maybe be a lot better. David Lee could ever shoot the three, really. So I think Boozer has a little more range, obviously. So,
But see, I think that's where you get there's nothing wrong with that, right? It just depends which team gets that, right? Because if it's a team that needs a game changer and he isn't that, it's a downward spiral from there, no matter how, decent he is or, he plays to his level. Whereas if he goes somewhere where that's all you need from that player is you need him to be just good, right? Like good, not necessarily superstar, but good enough, then yeah, it works out for you because that's what you needed. So it just depends. Like for the Kings, like I just don't think it works for that because you need a game changer. Right. And maybe he's still good regardless, but like the position that they're in, and maybe just having a good player is good too for them. We just don't know that. But we're so desperate to have a superstar, to need a superstar at this point. Like anything less than that, people are just going to be disappointed off reaction.
Yeah,
it's just the nature of it.
Yeah.
So, look at Keegan Murray.
That's like the Keegan thing, right? Sorry to interrupt. But for example, like Keegan, right? Like that time, the team was pretty more or less set, right? And you just threw Keegan in there, and he played defense, shot threes, and he gave that team a little, something extra. But then, when things start falling apart, it's like Keegan, bro, take the reins. And I know he's been hurt, and that might not be fair. But it's like, he's a decent guy in the right system, but he could really contribute. But if you're asking him to kind of be the dude, like I'm probably not gonna.
Right. If Beam Team does what they were supposed to do and gets the players around everybody, we're happy with Keegan being what he was that first year, right?
Right.
But because everything went downhill, now you're like, oh, please be our savior, be this, be that. We need you to be the number 4 pick. Whereas before it's like, oh, well, if he ends up being more cool, but he's perfect where he's at. So yeah, like everything is dependent on what your story is. Where is your franchise at? What do you need? What do you need comparative to how do I put it? Like, what do you really need? That's the things. Like, if you need a superstar, you better make sure you go get that, especially in a draft that's supposedly top heavy great. You better not be one of those. I always say like 2 out of those 6 are probably only going to either be good or a bust. You better make sure you're not in one of those 2, or it's going to set your franchise back another 4 or 5 years. So, and I think that's the problem is where the Kings are at is they need anything good at this point. Like they need something right away.
I still have hope in Scott Perry that he knows what he's doing, and no matter where the Kings fall, that he'll choose the right player that's available at that point. And I really think the key is to make a trade or do some sort of something to get another pick in the first round. Because there's a lot.
All right, Katrina C.
Well,
I just think like if we think that, and if everybody knows that this is a great first round, like you think anybody wants to trade out of that?
That's where I'm kind of that's where I'm kind of at too. Is like, yeah, of course, it's a great draft. Like, yeah, there's
like you're the only person that knows that, right? Like,
not that not that it's a bad idea or by any means,
not at all,
and not that it's impossible. I just think that it's like, I mean, Keegan could possibly get you. I don't think it's absurd to say that Keegan would get you back into the first round, but I don't know that Keegan's gonna get you into like the top half of the first round.
Not by himself, no. Yeah,
that's like, you can trade a future first, but it's like back to the original point.
How'd I do there? Did it sound like it was me?
Back to you can trade a future first, but it's like, okay, well, why would a team want to give up their first for a draft that's not going to be as good as this one?
Yeah, exactly. And again, unless you run into like, I don't know, like there's got to be a team that's desperate for who's going to ever be desperate for Zach
Warriors,
Lamar, or yeah.
No.
Keegan in the first for. Draymond in the first for Keegan Murray, baby. Let's go.
Let's go. That's wonderful.
Would you do it? Would you do that?
What was the trade again?
Draymond and the Warriors like 15th selection for Keegan Murray.
I would, yes.
Hell no.
I would. But I'd wave Draymond right after that.
Yeah, right.
That's the thing. I'd wave him right after that.
I just
like
want to throw
that.
that grenade in there.
Or
and
not
then
even.
yeah.
I wouldn't wave him. I take that back. I would sit him at the end of the bench and watch him melt down. Purposely. But no, but yeah, like exactly like could you or can you? Sure, there's always trades we see that we're like, how the hell did this happen? But if we think it's a great top 10 pick year, then everybody else thinks that too, and nobody's just going to give it to you for like scraps or for free, right? So if Perry could pull that off, he's probably renewed his faith with a bunch of the fan base that whatever he's lost so far up to this point. So that would be great, but it just what's the chances of that? You couldn't even move DeMar or Zach or any of those guys. So I have little faith that he can do that, and I don't think it's not just because of him, just because it's just hard to do. And no one seems to want to trade with the Kings anyway most of the time. So it is what it is. So I have one fun question, but before we get to that, I do want to ask you about baseball because today was opening day, right? On Netflix, they had. Even though I love arguing with Michigan, he is right. I don't know why it was the Giants versus Yankees. It should have been Yankees Dodgers, if anything. If you're gonna have like a juggernaut game, but did watching the WBC for you guys, if you did watch any of it, or if you at least kept up with it, did that interest you in watching baseball? If you weren't interested, or were you excited for this season at all? You're already shaking your head. So
it's early, dog. It's
opening day, though. I agree with you. I think opening day is awesome.
There's a lot of bad baseball. I mean, it's exciting, I guess, but there's a lot of bad baseball that gets played in the first month and a half of the season. A lot of guys are slow. A lot of guys found their.
Oh, exactly.
Yeah, no, for sure. Like it is slow. It's a lot of bad games, but there's also some teams that come out of nowhere. There's some teams that come out of nowhere in their first couple months that they might not trickle out, but there'll be that surprise team, or there'll be a good team that struggles out the gate and then kind of makes its way back at some point. But I think the game itself was always in Chicago, at least, was always exciting.
Mm-hmm.
It was always exciting. We made a big thing of it. So I don't know how other cities do it. I know with SAC it's a little bit different, right? Because it doesn't necessarily have its own team. So either you have Giants fans or you had some fans that are still A fans or maybe not anymore. So it depends on who. Like, do you have a team, Drew?
I'm an East Bay boy, so yeah. I grew up with the A's and Warriors, and then Cowboys was that was another story, but yeah. But yeah, so like my dad, he cleans carpets, and he would clean some he has some wealthy clients, and this one guy would give him the tip. He would give him dugout seats right behind a dugout.
So not a Michigan tip. Okay, go ahead.
We would go to A's games, hop on BART, hit that Togo's, get that little Togo sandwich, hop on BART or whatever, head over to Oakland and go to games a lot of times. But after they moved, even not even before that, not even after that, it's even way before, years before that, and that's where I think it's unfair, and not to try to rip on Kenny, but I know Kenny said he lived in Oakland. My brother was there for like a year. Like, I think it's unfair that ownership and that stadium that has been deteriorating for years, and with no secret what Fisher wanted to do. So I don't think it's fair to blame fans for low attendance over the last 5 years or so when this owner has shown no interest in upgrading the stadium, nothing like that. It doesn't even talk. They turn their replies off on social media or whatever. And I think it was like 2020 or 2019, maybe, like they made the playoffs, and I looked, they were getting like 20,000. People think that nobody, when the A's are good and they care,
people
like that, they do it. And I mean, yeah, you could say whatever, it's excuses, but it's not like there's not a fan base. And when the team is good, and a lot of times the team ain't good because as soon as a guy might be due for a contract, they ship him out. They never, all of a sudden, now they're paying people all of a sudden, right? You know, so it's like I think it's unfair for people to say, oh, well, they didn't show up. It's like, okay, well, you know, if you're in a relationship and you know it's not going anywhere, and you know, like you know, there's a means to an end. It's like, well, why are you gonna show up for that person? Or, you know, I mean, whatever. Maybe it's not the best comparison, but I think it's unfair for people to, you know, rip on A's fans and say they didn't care, they didn't show up. It's like, that's not, you got to tell the whole story. Like, that's not, you know, did you show up either? If, like, you know, it's kind of where the point where, God damn, I need to talk shorter. But it's like kind of like where you guys are at, right? Where it's like ownership. You don't know if you don't like the moves Vivek's making, so people aren't showing up to the games, right? People are trying to make a statement, and would anyone say, "Oh, Kings fans don't care"? Like, nah, that's bullshit. I know y'all do, but some point, like, if you don't feel like, you know, the ownership is being fair to the fans and not, you know, reciprocating the support that they give, like, why am I gonna show them put money in your pocket?
Yeah, and I think it's what a coincidence that after last year, all of a sudden now he's paying players. Like they're getting these kind, and everyone's like, "What?" Well, one, because you knew after the fiasco of the tickets of last year at the Rivercat Stadium, no one this year was going to jump at those prices again the way they did. Because last year everybody was just excited that there was baseball in Sacramento, so he knew he could charge up. Like I remember buying the Mother's Day tickets; those were ridiculous, but I bought them. And then everybody did that, right? People bought season tickets thinking they could make their money back, and everybody lost money. This year, when you went on preseason, you could buy damn near any game you wanted for less than $100 easily. So it was like, all right, you knew. So of course you wouldn't have paid these players because now you know you have to put a product, and you already see your vision for Vegas, whether it seems like it's going in that direction no matter what. So now you're gonna quote unquote pay these players. Right. So, yeah, like ownership's a piece of shit and everybody knows it. But I am excited. Like I'm excited people get to experience baseball here. And I will tell you something. The new stadium that you see being built in the rail yards, which all of a sudden went from being a 20,000 seat stadium to being a 25,000 stadium with the capacity of, if need be, like 27 to 28,000 with shade, all that. It's not a coincidence that this comes on the heels of Major League Baseball being interested in putting baseball in Sacramento permanently at some point. If it is, it isn't. I guarantee you the reason the Rail Yard Stadium got updated from what it was originally supposed to be is because of that. So that if something comes down the line and there's not space at that time, they can easily put a team into that stadium and be able to extend the seats and be able to do baseball games if they had to, and find some way to work it around the whole soccer thing, right? And so just remember I said that because I do think that's part of the reason that's happened. I've seen some of the plans for that, man. I would say behind the scenes, that's probably something that they've talked about as a not necessarily gonna happen, but it's in case of they can prove that they can host a baseball team right away while either A, they do end up being the permanent home, or it's just a home that they can play and build something at some point somewhere in the Sacramento area or within the Sacramento range. So there's something to be said for that, man. So kudos for Sacramento for actually showing out last year and getting Major League Baseball's attention. And maybe somewhere down the line, whether it's 3 years, 10 years, whatever it is, because it's crazy to think that Sacs never really had their own team except for the Kings and the Republic, really. And it seems like it's cool to see a capital city kind of grow over the last 10 to 15 years and have the possibility of maybe getting your own Major League Baseball team. Like, cool, man, you know? So kudos to that. So one thing before we go, I wanted to ask you guys, and I think I know the answers because it's usually based upon your generation, but they were talking about the golden age of movies, the best era that movies came out. So for you guys personally, what was the best era of movies? It could be now, you know, the early 2000s, the 90s. Obviously, nobody is as old as me, so I get the 80s and half of the 70s. But for you guys, what is the best era of movies?
Man, I'd have to say probably like 99s and the 2000s. Like for me, you know, like that's when like the peak like basketball movies, the dance movies. That's probably when I saw the most movies. What? You Got Served, Save the Last Dance, Stomp the Yard, Love and Basketball, Coach Carter, right?
Mhm.
The 90s had some good movies too. Space Jam.
What about you, Drew? I know with Drew, I think I'm going to say this before Drew says it. I'm pretty sure for Drew, it's the peak comedy, goofy movies, right? Like that. Because I know Drew what he loves. So I'm going to guess Drew's going to say early 90s, but go ahead, Drew.
I'm gonna go like 90, like early mid 90s, like 90, Billy Madison, Happy Gilmore, and up to like 06, 07, maybe. Sometimes I feel like this movies came out later than they did, but I'm sure, that then you had the whole Judd Apatow, you had the Happy Gilmore, you had the Happy Madison, Billy had the whole Adam Sandler production, and then for me it was that whole Judd Apatow kind of clan, group, Grandma's Boy and 40-Year-Old Virgin and Super Bad and Pineapple Express and all of those kind of movies, and then the whole and then obviously the Jim Carrey. I'm a big Jim Carrey guy. I'm not even, if we're not here to talk about the damn clone, I'm just gonna say I love Jim Carrey. We don't need to get into that one, but that whole
Ace Ventura.
Ace Ventura.
I don't know Ace Ventura slander.
Yeah, I don't know who said was that, Jesse?
Yeah.
Jesse,
like he's never seen Ace Ventura.
How are you gonna be a Dolphins fan? Not like
I
Ace
know.
Ventura, dog.
Like, that's a classic.
Dan Marino.
Oh, you're so mad. She is so mad. Look at him. Damn. I think, like, for me, I always think about, like, I have to break it down into genres, like the horror, the serious, the dramas, comedies. I think there was, like when you tell, like, for me, it was like Beverly Hills, Trading Places. Like, there was a peak comedy in the late 80s, I love Running Scared with Billy Crystal and Gregory Hines. Like, to me, I can watch that movie anytime. Like, there's a peak, and then it kind of died for a little bit, and then it came back in, like Drew said, the early to late 90s. Those comedies started hitting another level again.
Throwing the Wayans brothers. I gotta throw in the Wayans brothers too. My fault. Yeah,
for sure.
Major Payne. I can't think of Major Payne is one of my all-time favorites. My dad loves that movie. Like, so, and then White Chicks, and I know off top I know I can't think of. I know there's other stuff, but yeah. So for me, it's kind of like. It's like, it's like it kind of goes with the companies who make the movies, kind of thing, like that, and that's why there's lows. Like, I don't think anybody heard my rant last week where I obliterated the motion picture industry for their lazy assness and uncreativity. So, I think it's kind of like, who's out there. Like, obviously Ryan Coogler is a hot name, right now. So I think it kind of depends on, who's doing the movies. So
for sure.
There's still plenty of funny, original, create not just funny, but creative people out there. But, unfortunately, as we know, a lot of times, it's not who you know, it's who you sleep with, unfortunately. And I'm like, I hate to say that, but it's like kind of the way it is up there in Hollywood and stuff like that. It's not as easy to just, break
it's
into
always been like that, though.
No, that's true. That's true, but there's some other things that I want to say, but I won't.
Well, like I say, like with horror flicks, right? Like, I feel like CGI is just taking a lot of the good stuff away. Whereas, like, you're never gonna get like pure movies like The Exorcist where it's about the reaction and like maybe if you compare it to CGI now, you're like, it looks like garbage, but the story was so well written, you were scared off the story alone, not the original Nightmare on Elm Street, Pinhead.
You guys seen Scream 7?
Huh?
Have you guys seen Scream 7?
No, preview for it?
It was done after the third
No,
one.
the movie, the actual movie.
I have not seen it, no.
I'll save you your time. Dog shit.
Yeah.
I believe it. I mean, it's on the 7. All you have to do is say 7.
Dog shit.
The original stuff back in the day, that was the
Scream
stuff
1 and
for
2
horrors.
were dope, dude. Yeah,
like the first two were
back
good.
in
After that, it's whatever. It was whatever, man. It was whatever. It's like, look, I even froze you in your place.
Yeah, that's how he feels.
But like horrors were better. Horrors were better in the 70s, 80s, and early 90s. Horrors too.
Horrors were better in the 80s. I would. Yeah. I'll take your word for it.
You should.
I was Born in '88, my friend. So I missed the 80s horror train, unfortunately.
I think dramas too. Like I think stuff was better written for the most part. But then you got goofy stuff too. Like I know it doesn't necessarily if you weren't born there, but like Weird Science was cool. Like there's a bunch of stuff that's Gremlins. I like stuff that was kind of goofy.
Overdone. It's over dramatized now. Like you said, it was about the story. Like you know what I mean. Now it's just about like all the CGI and all this crap. And it's like that's not what makes a movie is supposed to be a story that you know what I mean, like you bring to life kind of thing. I don't care if that sounds corny. I'm just keeping it a book. Like a story that comes to life, and a lot of times it's like that whole part. Like I agree, man. I think that was exactly. It's not even about like the plot. It's just like how can we make this horror movie the fakest and most outrageous and like jump scares and all this stupid shit. It's like, bro, like this is so unrealistic. Like that's me. I hate horror movies because they're so unrealistic and not even like. And I get it. It's a movie. I understand that, but it's like, bro, this is so far-fetched and ridiculous. Like people, why? I
remember how crazy everybody treated the Blair Witch Project. Like everybody thought it was real. Like they were like, "What the hell is this?" Like for that one weekend before, like everyone was like, "What the hell? Did you see that?" Like But now somebody will Google it. Like even if that was out now, it wouldn't work because someone's going to Google the whole goddamn thing.
I remember going to that on opening night, and I was like, "What the." What is happening? I
think we can say technology has had a negative influence on the movies we watch now, kind of thing. Like
trailers,
like Scream would be like, "You're outside. Hold on, I got you on the ring cam. Get the fuck out of here."
Check all my cameras.
Yeah, police are on their way, dude. Yeah, so it's like I don't know if that. I think it has to have a kind of an impact a little bit, right?
Yeah,
like
for sure, absolutely.
Yeah. Like you can't just be like just living on the earth, you know what I mean? Just a good little movie outside. It's like no, because someone's on their phone or on their it's taking away some of the like I don't know, like good nature of just like just enjoying a story, man. Like you said, I keep coming back to that. For me, it's like it should be like a good story, and then the acting should complement the story, but not just the acting and all your your CGI and all that stuff shouldn't like Fast and Furious. It's like it got away from just like car racing and boosting cars. Now we're on the moon. What are we doing, dog? what are we doing, bro?
I didn't even watch that one, but when I saw the scene after, I was like, bro, I have no desire to watch this one at all, man.
Like Ludacris got holes up in space. We in the moon 16. Holla at me, girl. Like, what the fuck are we doing?
That's crazy.
Like these movies are written so bad. They remind you of the movies that you come home and watch at like 2 a.m. that were so bad on Cinemax, but you'd watch them because they were so bad. But now these are the movies that are in theaters.
Yeah.
Like, no, I'm not paying to see that. I'll watch it for free at 3 a.m. when I'm drunk.
Yeah, that was the B-roll shit. That was like Sharknado. Like, that was a Sci-Fi Channel. Those were like supposed to be fun. Now those are like the premiere releases. Like
it was supposed to be bad. Now you actually got something good that's horrible.
Right. Yeah. You enjoyed it just for the, for it's a dumb movie. It's so ridiculous, but my Wi-Fi's tapping out, bro. We got anything else, man? I'm holding us back, man. That movie right here, dog. Shoot, man.
No,
Revenge of the Wi-Fi.
Nah, that was it. I'm glad we got to speak on that. We got to do a variety of things next week. I may or may not be on. I'll be in Chicago, so but these guys will take care of you if I'm not. So join us next week. Hopefully, Dr. David will be back.
Yep.
Peace.
All right, thanks.
Chatty House. We ballin', boy. We going up at the Chatty House. We talk about it all, bring the family out. Sub to the channel, hit the likes now. And we only going up when the lights down. Yeah, we just getting started. Ain't no party like a Chatty House party. We just getting started. Ain't no party like a Chatty House party.